I like On3 a lot. I do. But I saw something on On3 today that just made me chuckle. And I'm certain that I am falling in the honeypot on On3.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a typo. On3 says that Sam Leavitt, the Arizona State quarterback, is not only the best quarterback in college football, but he's overall the 5th best player in all of college football.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
I am amazed by it. I think that this is one of the stupidest things I've ever seen. How outrageous is this to you?
I mean, I think, it's hard to, like, listen, I understand that dude's got experience, like, he's coming back, like, they've had a lot of, success last year, and I get all that. But to say that this kid is top 5 players in the country and the best quarterback.
No, not top 5. He is the 5th best college football player in the country. And the number 1 quarterback.
Yeah.
While you look at that beautiful picture of Sam Leavitt, they claim that Sam Leavitt, the quarterback at Arizona State, is better than Alabama wide receiver Ryan Williams. They claim that he is a better player than Lenora Sellers at South Carolina, which I think is tomfoolery. They have him ranked much higher than Anthony Hill, the linebacker at Texas. They have him 5th, and they have Arch Manning 10th.
Bro,
now,
what are you talking about,
okay,
man?
Arch Manning's not proven, right? Arch Manning has never been a starter. Okay, I can almost live with that. But he's better than Jeremiah Love, the running back at Notre Dame. You're out your goddamn mind.
Couldn't agree more.
He is, it's incredible to me. And I think if we're looking at the best quarterbacks in college football, Sam Leavitt doesn't make the top. He's not the best quarterback in the Big 12.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the problem with it is you look inside the conference and there are other quarterbacks that, I think, are going to have better seasons and are better. I think that's not even that controversial. I think the ranking plays on the ASU hype train. That's what I think. That's why I think you're seeing this. I think, a lot of people want to say that ASU is going to come out and, they're going to have a hell of a year and they're going to win the Big 12 and they're going to run it back, and hey, maybe they will. But again, one of the most unproven programs in the country. I love Kenny. Kenny's my dude. But the reality is it's one season. I mean, you got to show me that you can recruit over several years. You got to show me that the school and the administration is willing to continue, and obviously donors willing to continue to pump NIL money into that program so you can get talent. Like this is a multi-year process. So I just think that to sit here and say that Sam Leavitt somehow is going to be the same quarterback he was last year,
it's ridiculous.
After what? Let's say. I mean, what do we have Scat as? The 3rd best running back in the draft, probably, like 4th best.
Your entire offense went to the NFL in Cam Skattebo.
Yeah.
Right? So when I look at the best quarterbacks, I don't think he's the best quarterback in the Big 12. I am telling you right now, I think if I had to rank best quarterbacks in the Big 12, who would you take over? I mean, Josh Hoover certainly has to be. Is Josh Hoover not somebody you would take over Sam Leavitt? I certainly would.
But I think, the problem with that is that I don't think that Josh Hoover has the recognition that Sam does because Josh didn't go to the college football playoff.
Well, I don't disagree with that. Rocco Bechter, Sam Leavitt. I actually think that's close.
I think that's pretty close. Yeah.
I think that's very close. I think if I look at
the obvious one is Avery Johnson,
but I think Sam Leavitt's better than Avery Johnson.
Well, I think that depends on who you ask. I mean, they're sitting here saying that Sam Leavitt is again a top 5 player in college football.
Sawyer Robertson at Baylor is better than Sam Leavitt. He is better than Sam Leavitt. Yes, he is. I think he is. Jake Retzloff.
I would take Jake for sure.
If you look at,
although I will say, I I think that the other thing that you have to consider with Sam is we didn't get to see a lot of, Sam simply just wasn't in a position where it was ride or die with him. And his performance was going to decide the game, right? Sam was in a situation where he was just orchestrating an offense and most of the time handing that thing off or working on a play with Scott. So I think what's difficult here is, like, I don't think Sawyer Robertson is some explosive quarterback who, not that you're saying it, but I'm just
No.
saying I don't think that Sawyer, the reason I don't love Sawyer over Sam is because Baylor, didn't really do a whole lot. I know they improved, but I wasn't like, I watched some Baylor football last year. Obviously, the Utah game, was one we all watched, but I just wasn't all that impressed. I'm not saying he sucks. I'm just saying I don't think he's better than Sam. But even if you say Sawyer's better than Sam, the problem is when you start comparing this guy to the national rankings, I just think that saying that the dude is the best quarterback in the country
problematic.
is wild.
And I look at the Big 12, and I think if you look at the rankings from last year, I think the guys from last year who are remaining and are in the league.
Yeah.
I think the best quarterback in the Big 12 is between Sawyer Robertson, Baron Morton, and Jake Retzloff, who I would take all of them over Sam Leavitt. I think if I had one quarterback in this conference and I could only have one, I would probably take Cam Rising, but he's not. And the hand, if I could only have one quarterback, I think it would probably be Baron Morton or Jake Retzloff. I think Sawyer Robertson could arguably be the best in the league. Here are the guys I would take over Sam Leavitt. So in no order: Sawyer Josh Hoover. Jalen Daniels is a tough one.
Yeah.
He's not the thrower that Sam Leavitt is. Certainly I would take Jake Retzloff, Baron Morton. What do you say about like a guy like Noah Fafita? I think Noah Fafita, we're going to see he throws far too many interceptions. And the other thing about Leavitt is he threw the ball 350 times.
Mm-hmm.
And he's 24-6 touchdown and interceptions. But I think all those other guys, like Baron Morton might be the best example. Certainly Jake Retzloff is in this conversation. They don't have running games.
Right.
BYU's running game was not consistent, and they weren't consistently healthy. And
well, that's what I'm saying. Sam had it easy last year.
I
Sam
think
had
he
a
did.
Dominant running attack, that you had to respect, that clearly, the linebackers were always going to play up for. Like, I think that we as football fans, we get into these situations where, like, we have to start kind of downgrading a guy. Sam is talented. Sam played his ass off against Texas. Like, Sam had a great showing. There's no question about it.
Don't hear us clearly. I'm not saying that Sam Leavitt's a bad quarterback.
Right.
He's not the fifth best player in college football, you knuckleheads.
Yeah.
That's the problem with this on-3 thing. And I get it. It's freaking May. There's nothing to talk about of note. So we start saying stupid stuff like, oh, Sam Leavitt's the fifth best player in the country. Never mind if we have to like name the best quarterbacks in college football. Never mind that they're taking him over like Cade Klubnik, who I thought had a fantastic run at the end of the year last year.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Never mind that Garrett Nussmeier, what your balls drop off? Right? Like, did you forget Garrett Nussmeier is like on the planet? Arch Manning. Is there anybody who believes that Sam Leavitt will be a better quarterback than Arch Manning?
No.
You would be a fool to say that, right? And I look at some of the guys like and Lenora Sellers is just a guy that nobody knows. He's better than Sam Leavitt. I don't know where I put where's the Drew Aller line? Where is Drew Aller a top 10 quarterback in college football?
For me, he's not. No.
I don't think he is either. I think, again, but I also think Sawyer Robertson's a top 10 quarterback in college football. I do.
I didn't realize you were a Sawyer Robertson guy,
per
se.
I think Sawyer Robertson suffers under the oppression of 8-ball. I think that when that guy's your head coach, your offense is always going to sputter and you're going to struggle to get notoriety. I'm not telling you that Sawyer Robertson's some great quarterback.
Right.
He's better than Sam Leavitt.
And I don't know. It's just, it's hard, man. I think, what's difficult is obviously I can't sit here and factually, say, well, Sawyer was in Sam's place, they would have had the same result.
Do you know who the number one QBR quarterback in the Big 12 was last year?
Sure, it's your boy.
Sawyer Robertson.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that makes him the best quarterback in the league.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I need to throw for a touchdown, it's probably
it's Josh
Hoover, Baron Morton, Jake Retzloff. Jake is incredibly dynamic down the field. But if you look at Sawyer Robertson's numbers, it's hard to ignore 3,000 yards, 28 touchdowns, and 8 picks. With that cast of characters last year. And with 8-ball as your head coach. It's tough to ignore that. What I can't ignore is the stupidity of saying Sam Leavitt's the 5th best player in all of college football. You jackwagon.
You fucking donkey.
Right? Like, I'm not going to ignore that.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I think is really terrible, it's not even that Sam Leavitt's the 5th best player in college football. Somebody explain to me how Caleb Downs is not the number 1 player on this list.
Yeah.
Right? Now, and I'm not knocking Jeremiah Smith. That's who On3 says is the best player in all of college football.
And I don't have a problem with that. He probably is. Yeah.
Caleb Downs. I think Caleb Downs. I think, furthermore, Colin Simmons at Texas, they have him at 4. Wait a minute. And I know I was born at night. It wasn't last night. There are not 3 better players in college football than Colin Simmons. There are not. So, and I know Texas is back and you hate it. There are not.
Let me tell you what now.
Yeah, there are not 3 better players in college football than him. And I look at Ryan Williams at Alabama. He's 6th on their list. Do you watch college football? You jackwagon. I like that it's amazing to me. Again, it's a list. They want you to click on it.
It's clickbait, Mike.
I did, and I am as guilty as anybody.
On3 is clickbaiting.
But I'm telling you right now.
Yes, you did. Yes,
and I
you did.
I did. It's one of the worst lists I've ever seen. It's one of the worst lists I've ever seen. And nobody watches Big 12 football. And maybe this is part of this is the best quarterback league in the country. The Big 12 is the best quarterback league in the country. You want to debate who the best quarterback in this league is? Okay, let's throw hands. I am in the Retzloff, Morton, Hoover crew. You're in the 8-ball crew. You're in the Leavitt crew. Okay, cool. That's great. This is the best quarterback league in the country. And I'm happy to die on the hill.
What about Angelini, dude? I mean, come on.
Anja McCock? We don't have a quarterback. We don't. Real Pete Forte is our quarterback today. Hello, Pete. What's up, Mike Smith? Mountain Mama. Hit the like button right. Meow. Jesse Crum, what's up? Matt Ritson, what's up? Big Blue Horses, college football playoff is the Big Ten SEC Invitational until other conferences fight back with everything they have on and off the field.
Sorry, folks, that's what it is.
That will never change. I don't disagree. I'll take the under. Okay. T. Lawrence, hello. Can Big Ten SEC pick apart Big 12 eventually? What does that mean? I think so once the Big 12 media rights deal ends to fortify super conference. Well, we'll see. The Pope, Big Pontiff. By the way, I'm trying to get some Greek food for dinner last night. Because
I want a Euro, Monty.
I got to tell you, I'm on a run of tzatziki sauce like ain't nobody's business.
Yeah, big tzatziki guy, huh?
Okay. Just give me that white yogurt thunder. That came out.
Honestly, I'd start stroking guys.
You know. Yeah, man, I need that tzatziki sauce 21 times a month. So I'm over in Sandy, and apparently there's some kind of soccer event.
Yeah, some soccer game where they kick a ball around and stuff.
Real Salt Lake had a match last night.
Got to be America's team.
And the good news is nobody showed up because my wife is running a triathlon this weekend. And we went to pick up her race pack right next to Real Salt Lake.
America First Field. Come on.
Shut up.
Come on.
You know, right next to Markinen Place.
Right.
We went to pick that up, and there was no traffic. Then we drove down State Street, down to Draper, where all the hot MILFs are, and got me some tzatziki sauce and a euro. And
Big fan of that meat, huh?
dude, I love that meat.
You gotta get stroked.
Bro, I ain't even gonna hide it. I had a great pita last night. It was amazing. Leavitt isn't even the best QB in the Big 12. That's
what
my
I'm
point.
saying,
That's what I'm saying. Sam Leavitt is really good. Maybe best QB going into 2026 college football season. Yeah, but not right now. Glenn, hello. Well, I think we did that. Name 5 better Garrett Nussmeier. Okay, we'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, see you later.
Arch Manning, I think he's better. Right? Like I'm not here to sell you on the fact that Sam Leavitt sucks. I'm not telling you that.
Because it's garbage.
If we're really getting into it, Lenoris Sellers is better than Sam Leavitt. But you don't know that because he plays at South Carolina.
Yeah.
So you didn't know that. Right? Like, I mean, the guy is everything you want him to be. And again, I'm not saying that Sam Leavitt's bad. I'm taking Garrett Nussmeier to LSU.
You know, my only problem with him is he just, I don't know. There are some times where he just kind of disappears, you know, like
Nussmeier.
Yeah. There are some times where he just kind of like, he's a great quarterback, but he's not that, you know, I don't know. He's just still got proving to do with him, but he's a good quarterback.
I think when you put the ball in his hands with the game on the line,
it's 50-50.
I think are you in the Cade Klubnik fan? Who do you
not.
think is the best quarterback in college football?
I mean, I think there's
Today,
a couple.
because you can't say Arch Manning.
No, you can't say Arch Manning. I mean,
I think it's Nussmeier or Klubnik.
what about Carson Beck?
No, I am not a Carson Beck fan. I think Carson
So you
Beck.
think there's no chance he hits him at Miami.
I don't know if he's healthy enough to hit at Miami.
Yeah,
I mean that injury was.
yeah. I mean,
Narnar Binks.
Yeah, yeah.
But if he can do
best
if he
quarterback
can
in the
do the
country.
Cam Ward,
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, Cam Ward came from way lesser of a program than Carson's coming from. I mean, Carson can play. I understand that he's not the most explosive guy, but he can play.
I think Cade Klubnik is the best quarterback in the ACC.
Yeah.
Cade
Klubnik is solid. The thing I don't love about Cade Klubnik is he's not like when you watch him, it's not like super explosive. It's not that like game wrecker kind of quarterback. And I do think he'll have a solid NFL career. He will. He's not going to be a superstar, but
dude, what he did against Texas, I think was life-changing. I think the way he performed, and yes, I understand everybody pounded the kid because he's a Jesus freak, and I don't really care about
he's not
that.
as much of a Jesus freak as Fivehead was.
3,639 yards, 36 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and he's got his receivers back. He's going to throw for 4,000 yards. I mean, it's you look 336, 3 touchdowns and a pick with 3 sacks against Texas. If that's not impressive to you, you're not easily.
What did he do against SMU there? Wasn't
262 and 4 touchdowns, no picks.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's it's SMU.
Yeah. Still
who's got a decent little
game.
it's got a decent little quarterback.
No, that was the ACC championship.
That was the ACC championship.
Yeah, that was the ACC.
No, that was college football playoff. College football certainly was a college football playoff. I thought, right? No?
I think SMU was the ACC championship.
SMU
game.
was the ACC
Yeah,
championship.
Texas obviously was the CFP.
But he's capable of 200 yards and a touchdown with 2 picks.
Yeah,
Don't get me wrong.
I don't know that there is.
Homie has a mediocrity gene in him.
I don't know that there is a best QB in college football right now. I think there are a lot of guys that have a lot of potential. Yeah, I mean, Cade Klubnik, see, like when I think about like best quarterback in college football, typically there's one that just kind of stands out from the rest, And I don't feel like we have that right now.
Yeah, I think.
I don't disagree about Lenora Sellers. The kid can play. There's no question about it, dude.
But it's South Carolina.
That's my point, and it's the ACC. So again,
SEC, South Carolina,
or SEC. With Cade, it's the ACC.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm sitting here and I'm like, hey, dude, like, bro, you're playing the ACC, and nobody seems to give a damn about that when it was Cam Ward in Miami, right? Nobody seemed to care about that. But all I'm saying is if we're trying to come up with the best quarterback in the country, I mean, it's not like the Big Ten is rich with quarterbacks right now.
I think Lenora Sellers, with Mike Shula as his offensive coordinator, the kid went 6-0. Was there any better quarterback in late October, November than Sellers? No. And he wasn't the starter. Remember that. 6-0, 17 touchdown. I think he's in the conversation. But it's all time contingent, right?
Yeah.
Like, who are we? I'm confused again. Is this live or a replay? You should stop drinking.
Dude, okay, hold on. I want to address this for a second. This is not difficult, okay? There are 2 very distinct titles, bro. The title says The Monty Show Live, right? We do the show live 3 to 6.
Yes.
Now, when we replay the show, and I know you're going to find this to be rocket science, it says TMS Live Replay.
What?
Dude, I know. It's so controversial. God forbid, and I know you guys have never seen this before in the history of sports talk, that somebody would replay their show in a different time slot for those people who can't find the show live. Yeah. Like, I just don't feel like it's that difficult.
A lot of people ask us about that.
Like, it's not that hard, bro. It literally says replay.
Fight On says, how's it going, gentlemen? Notre Dame still sucks. We do. David says, DePope. Rocco Spinelli. He did a nickel upstate for GTA. Yeah. Smith has 2 more years to go. Okay.
What are we talking about?
Jeremiah Smith, you mean? Yeah, he was a freshman last year. So
a damn good one.
Really good one. I mean, best wide receiver in the country. Now we're going to throw hands. Because I think when you look at the best wide, you can't do that. That's a different show. I mean, God damn.
Yeah.
The QB from Baylor, I forgot his name. Huh. I don't. Do they play football at Baylor?
Let me rack my brain. His name is Buddy.
Buddy.
Okay. Buddy.
Yeah, Buddy from Baylor.
Good for you, buddy. Buddy was Buddy tonight.
Sawyer Robertson. We talked about that. It's fine.
Anytime you can't remember somebody's name, it's just Buddy. It could be a dude. It could be a gal. Whatever. It's just Buddy. Okay.
Yeah. What's that girl's name we slept with in high school? Oh, Buddy. No.
Yeah, boy.
No, not boy. No. Drew Aller will take a step up. You said Drew Aller will take a step up. That's funny. David says I was kidding. My bad. Arch and Moore both have lots of unknowns. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Because both haven't played enough. Everyone else is up and down. Could be true.
That's what I'm saying. There's not like this year's quarterback class in college football just isn't as dynamic as last year's. And I'm sure
on paper right now on May 15th.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, obviously, when we get onto the field and start playing games, it's going to change. We're going to have a much more clear understanding, as we always do. But like, last year going into it, there were, we could have all kinds of discussions because we could talk about Shador and we could talk about Cam and, there was all kinds of, names that we could really work with in their situation. But like, Kate Klubnik is a great just example and name for this conversation, because I'm still trying to figure out if Dabo Sweeney is going to get on board with NIL or not. And what,
but do they need NIL at Clemson? I mean, they have Jesus and his dad. So I don't know that they need NIL.
In God's name, image, and likeness.
All right, a couple more on this, then we got to get rolling. Malik Murphy's very good. Malik Murphy's very good.
Casuals won't know where he is.
You really? Okay.
Oh, really? For sure, yeah.
Buddy saw your Robertson the last time you were in Waco.
Yeah, Sawyer's Robertson,
Would Baylor take less shots if the Aranda's head was so bright and shiny? They would take less shots if he had hair, prick.
Yeah.
Dave Aranda's a phenomenal coordinator who should never have been a head coach.
Anytime your head coach goes to Big 12 Media Day and goes, yeah, I'm a robot now. I'm no longer a human. I just watch film and coach kids. That's it. That's probably, with all due respect, not the guy I'm looking for. Sorry, dude. Sorry, bro. And I know you're real good at retiring quarterbacks now. I understand that your defense is good at that, but that doesn't mean that your quarterback is, going to thrive under that play calling.
Buddy.
Good for you, buddy.
Okay, who's the best overall offense in the Big 12? I mean, don't you have to say Texas Tech?
Yeah.
Texas Tech. Well,
TCU's got to be
right
there.
now, today, without having played a game, Texas Tech or TCU probably.
Yeah. I do think seriously.
But what do you have with Dampier and Beck at Utah?
Well, there's that. That's
one of the most prolific offenses in the country last year.
Massive question mark. I think you got to look at Kansas, because I think injuries were a big thing last year. Obviously, I would fully expect them to have a bounce back season. They were playing good football then the season. Obviously, we're playing season record there. And and I do think that I know we talk a lot of BYU on this show, but I do think that there is a lot of opportunity for BYU to have a good season on offense. And you just got this new AD who's young and energetic and getting after it, and just saying the praises of everybody, including Kalani, on that coaching staff. So I think BYU has an opportunity. I do think they need to add a little bit of offensive talent, but overall, yeah, I mean, I think you have to go with Texas Tech, and then I think it's TCU.
Yeah, we'll see. It's going to be a phenomenal. It's going to, you know what? Everybody's going to score points. It's going to be fantastic.
You're not going to win a lot of games in this conference if you're scoring, I would say, less than 24 points.
I think the biggest question is who's the best offense in the Big Ten. That's the biggest question, because this Underwood thing at Michigan's interesting. I think we're headed for
just him as a player, or how do you mean?
Well, there's rumors of him transferring, because I think there's a lot of people who believe Michigan's going to get slapped in the bag with this Sharon Moore thing now.
Well, and there's a lot of talk about, I think it was Joel Klatt and Fox, the guys at Fox.
Joel Klatt is such a fraud.
I completely agree. But my point is now all the Michigan guys and the Joel Klatts of the world and that whole cesspool is now talking about
cesspool.
That whole cesspool is just talking about Michigan, because now and not to get too distracted here, but I love the fact that we've graduated from Sharon's never taking a suspension to now Michigan deserves a ton of credit because they're going to suspend him for not the first 2 weeks of the season.
Nope.
If you ask Michigan,
he's coaching that Oklahoma game. He deserves it.
They're going to suspend him for the worst games on their schedule and make it an advantage for them. That's the new narrative.
Yeah, I think I am much more in the camp that says Sharon could be looking at a half-season suspension as a repeat offender. I think that would be heavy-handed. Me personally. I think if you take him off the field for 4 games and do not allow him to in any way, shape, or form coach this team, and I think
that'll be the question. I agree with that.
You need to put a monitor in their football program, and we'll see. We can all sit here and guess and surmise. Sharon Moore is getting far more than 2 games.
It's a very different thing to just suspend him for 4 games versus, hey, you can't be part of the program for a month. That's 2 different things.
Well, and they're not going to be able to give a free pass under the guise of a suspension like they did for Scumbag last year.
Yeah.
Like you're not, or 2 years ago now. You're not going to get away with that. You're in a position, and I think in the portal world that we all live in,
Yep.
if you suspend Sharon Moore for half a season, Bryce Underwood's going to transfer. And
that opens the portal, right? If you're
but what will happen is if they suspend Sharon Moore for 6 games, there will be penalties on top of that, and then they will open the portal. Because if there is significant penalties, scholarship reductions, postseason play bans, the NCAA will open the portal and allow kids to transfer without hesitation. They will. And I think that's where you wind up getting into these conversations. And I think this is what drives people crazy about the disciplinary process at the NCAA, is that here we are in May, and we're still several weeks away from the Committee on Infractions having a hearing.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you slap Sharon Moore, what do you say to Bryce Underwood? Because Bryce, where's he going to go? Tennessee? Like, where's he going to go at this point? You're putting the long-term future of these kids in jeopardy, their football futures in jeopardy, because who's going to want to stay at Michigan if the coach is gone for half the year? You can't go to the postseason for 2 years, and you lost a bunch of scholarships, so you're not going to be talented. That's the real problem. And are you going to force a guy like Bryce Underwood not to play this coming season so he doesn't lose a year of eligibility? That doesn't seem fair.
Right.
It just, the whole thing, in my opinion, sucks. I just think that you need to be very thoughtful about what you do, and you need to drop whatever the punishment is on Michigan as soon as possible, because people have to make decisions. And there's already rumors out there that Bryce Underwood is transferring. Now, do I believe them? I don't. Why would I at this point believe that Bryce Underwood, if he was going to transfer, wouldn't he have done it already?
Right.
But there's a belief out there, and largely it's Ryan Day's brother, who's a private investigator, spreading the rumors, of course. That's what Michigan fans will say. But you look at some of these storylines, and you have to ask yourself, well, if Sharon Moore takes a significant suspension, how do you not transfer? Because he's only, if you're one of the best quarterbacks in the country, how many years are you trying to play college football? Probably 3, and that's it. And you had better have 3 great years. Because I look at Arch Manning. He gets a pass based on his last name. If he comes out and he throws for 3,500 yards and 30 touchdowns this year, nobody's going to remember that he wasn't a starter for 2 years.
Right.
And nobody's going to care that he was only a starter for 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the Bryce Underwood conundrum. And I hope he doesn't transfer. I hope they do drop a bomb on Ann Arbor, because what that scumbag did to that program in that university, you can't let that go unpunished.
Right.
And Sharon Moore did what he did.
Yeah.
Right? He did what he did. And he's got to be punished for that. And if it were up to me, I would absolutely erase his existence from that program for the first 4 weeks of the season. Oh, but Monty, Oklahoma, and he has Oklahoma ties and a player. I don't care. Should have thought about that when you were deleting those text messages and the recruiting violations that you already have been, found to be guilty of.
Right.
Anyway, that's just me.